It's a wonderful and slightly chilly afternoon here in Demarest, Georgia, as Simon Johnstone and Eric Edmondson welcome you into our first match of our lovely tri-match this October afternoon and October weekend. Eric, it's an opportunity for the Lions here as they host Belhaven as well as Maryville to potentially make a bit of a jump in the CCS standings. They're coming off a bit of slow momentum here, going 1-4 in their last 5 matchups. So the Lions looking to turn the tide around after having some momentum before that stretch.
Yeah, and you know, they're facing some tough competition today. Belhaven, of course, is a match you can win or lose, and Maryville it's going to be a tough match. Just bottom line, it's going to be a tough match. It's very good competition. But last time we saw the Lions in Cave Arena, we saw that they were able to make a really good comeback against Huntington, and we saw a lot of team chemistry there, a lot of movement happening with those up front. We saw Sconiers and Hubbard continue their great seasons. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be about how far can your best players perform and how far can the errors really hold you back. Because between these two teams last time, it was Error City.
Speaking of last time, the scoreline was 3-1 in favor of Belhaven, and like you said, the Lions are going to look towards their upperclassmen and senior leadership to hopefully help them through this, what would be considered an upset, although they do have Cave Arena backing them here this afternoon. Of course, that senior leadership is led by Jessica Sconiers in the middle, as well as Katie Hubbard on the outside, with senior Vanessa Manzo setting them up for all the attacks. Out there for the Lions right now, you have Sconiers, Coelho, and Televast in the back row, and then up front you have Doherty, Hubbard, as well as Manzo with with Adams Mullis as libero here this afternoon in game number 1. Eric, for Belhaven, what do you think they need to do to try and jump ahead on the Lions team early on?
I mean, for Belhaven, just strike quick. We saw when Covenant came in that first set versus the Lions for Covenant, they came in and Lions put them on the back foot immediately, and it's because you underestimated them. So you can't underestimate your opponent if you're Belhaven, but if you're the Lions, you might be coming in having a little bit of that benefit of underestimating. Come in hot, and it's such an easy thing to say in sports, and it's such an easy thing for us to say up here, but you got to find momentum somewhere, and you can't just stop it. Of course, saying you need momentum is like saying the sky is blue or water is wet here. But that is exactly what this Lions team needs to keep their opponents backpedaling.
100% right. And quickly, we'll give you the 6 out there right now for Belhaven up front. You have number 15, Cammie Davis. Joined alongside her is going to be Corinne Kaysen, number 12, as well as number 28, Megan LaCour. And in the back row, number 4, Emma Gardner, with the libero, Kayla Robinson. And back to serve for the Blazers will be Miriam Ateka. First point on its way in our first match of 3 this afternoon. Hubbard tries to get the tip over, does just that, but the momentum carries her into the net for an attacking error right off the bat. Like you mentioned, last time we saw these two teams play, that was a point of concern for both sides. What do you think the Lions should focus on here to try and clean that up a little bit?
Yeah, and I like that move from Hubbard. You know, she's trying to be a little aggressive a little bit early on. You know, that happens. It's going to happen. You're not going to have a game without errors, right? Obviously, you don't want to start the game off like that, but I do like the aggression there. And that right there is going to be the key for me. We saw versus Covenant very early on, the blocking was very good. Very good blocking up front, and you're able to hook it back over the net. Continue to do that.
And we've seen quite a few middles in rotation here for the Lions roster throughout this season. We saw Bryn White, Sconiers, Hubbard had a little bit of a look there, as well as Doherty, who's in right now with that sensational block to get the Lions on the board. Doherty, one of the taller players on the Lions roster, will be essential to that up-front presence, like you said, as the attack by Televast is blocked, but blocked out of bounds, so a good kill there. Doherty stands at 5'11", joint second for tallest player on the roster, so trying to utilize as much height as they can are the Lions here this afternoon against a team that has 5 players over 6 feet tall. Height isn't everything, though, as the attack was initially deemed out, but point will be granted to the Blazers.
I believe it's going to be on a tip. I didn't see the signaling, but
I missed the signaling as well, but potentially a touch. We're all trying to decipher exactly what happened. As Manzo gets a nice little roll to Televast, who tries to cut it in, but too sharp of an angle as that one falls short inside of the net. Belhaven leads early, 3-2. Back to serve was Megan LaCour. Manzo goes to the right side for Hubbard. Good cover there by Robinson. On the attack was Emma Gardner, a little wide, and good eyes by Adams Mullis to let that one sail out of bounds. And one of the bright spots for the Lions so far this season has been their back row presence. It was a bit of a concern after losing a phenomenal defensive specialist in libero last year, but the Lions have really filled in the shoes and filled in the role exceptionally.
Yeah, Zoe Coelho took over that role in the opening weeks of the season, but now we see Mullis she's very aggressive, she's very athletic, and we've seen multiple times where she can get not only a dig, but it's a dig where she can pop it up a little bit further than to just keep it in play.
You're absolutely right. Adams Mullis leading the team in digs with 174. Just behind her is Zoe Coelho in second place. Lions reclaim the lead 4-3 in the early going. Attack on its way by caught the number there. There it is. Corinne Kaysen sails a little wide. And Lions trying to capitalize on the abundance of errors so far for the Blazers. Lions keeping it a little cleaner here. Gardner's tip, a little too short there, unable to get the Lions blockers involved. And Lions continuing to do just what's needed to continue to extend their lead. 6-3 now, your score. Hubbard back for the Lions once again. That serve is going to go deep. And the Lions lose possession.
I was going to say something about the serving there and be very positive. I'm kind of glad I didn't, so I didn't get hit with the commentator's curse. But they've gone away from jump serving. We've seen that they can jump serve a good bit. We saw that earlier in the season. But now I like the approach of staying on the ground, especially with your heavy hitters like Hubbard, because we know that Hubbard can absolutely just maul the ball over. Unfortunately, that one was a little bit towards the baseline, but still, when you're able to get that right arc on it, it's beautiful.
A lot of Piedmont Lions players are very good at aggressive float serves, and it's a high percentage ball that is able to move quite a bit in the air, so I don't mind removing jump serves in overly aggressive locations like you said, Eric. Adams Mullis, little bump set to the right side for Televast. That one tipped up by the Blazers. Back out to Gardner once again, and over the block of Mary Britt Televast it goes and drops in front of the hands of Katie Hubbard for a kill.
It's just a good hit. Sometimes there's just a good hit, and that's exactly what that was.
Lions still leads 7-5. Up front right now, we see Manzo, Sconyers, as well as Sarah Bierke. To the middle, Sconyers, nice little tip covered by Robinson. And Gardner involved once again. Manzo does keep it alive, though. Good job by her. Bierke just going to send it over. Set up on the slide for the Blazers. Kept up alive by the Lions. And an outstretched, contorted attack by Mary Britt Televast is all that was needed to get the kill.
You saw Bierke and Sconyers just on that block there. That's something that they struggled with early on. They got the block, but they couldn't get the recovery. And Bierke she knew where she was. She had enough awareness to keep that ball up, and that's exactly what led to that point, and now it's led to 2 for the Lions.
Attack by Heidi Shako goes a little long there for the Blazers, and the Lions now jump ahead with the largest lead in set number 1, 9-5. Little dump tip there by Anaya Tompkins. Bierke on the attack, not touched by the Blazers as it ricochets off of the net tape. And just, I believe, the first attacking error, maybe second, for the Lions, so still fairly clean early on.
Yeah, and they've both been trying to be as aggressive as they can, a little bit offhand in that corner. One from Hubbard and now one from Bierke.
Manzo in a good spot, goes outside to Bierke, who just has to roll it over. Robinson, back pass, looking behind for, I believe that was LaCour, and that one's going to sail long.
And this is exactly what you needed from the Lions as Coelho comes in. You needed Belhaven to continue to make mistakes. You need to capitalize on those mistakes, because not every lead is going to be gift wrapped to you like this is.
Lions going to need to present their offensive firepower at some point, but right now content with grabbing the lead with some unforced errors by the Blazers, but a strong up front presence there, primarily by Riley White for the Blazers, shuts down Sconyers' attack on the right side. And the reward for that block is going to be being back to serve as Riley White sends it on over. Manzo looks to connection number one. Hubbard, who fires one right at the hands of Kaylee Lindsay. And a smart dump tip there by Cammie Davis. Continues to run by the Blazers, but called wide as the Lions take advantage of that. Scaniers on the jump serve. Eric, this is one question I have for you. Scaniers has rotated between a jump float, a standing float, as well as a jump serve. So what's your favorite type of serve for Scaniers? Is it the jump float, standing float, or that top spin like we saw? I
like the top spin from Scaniers. When Scaniers can be a little bit more controlled, I think she is a lot more dangerous. And obviously when you can be controlled, otherwise you can be a lot more dangerous. But as we saw from Hubbard and we saw from Scaniers, what we rely on with those two hitters exactly is the firepower, is the pop. So really putting them in a position where they just float it over, I think, is diminishing their ceiling a little bit. Listen, it is a little bit harder if you're just going to haul back and smack it over to force an error. But I'm all for a high floor and a low ceiling in that area.
Interesting. Scaniers is fourth on the team in total service aces, but in terms of service errors, she sits second, 8 aces to 15 service errors. So not the ratio you love, but Scaniers more than, all four going for an aggressive jump serve, like you said. And I think the Piedmont coaching staff, alongside her teammates, are in full support of that as well, because when she does get that correct connection, it's a devastating serve to deal with if you're on the receiving end of it. Do have a bit of a pause here as we figure out a scoring discrepancy. I believe it's all been resolved now, and what you see on your screen is correct. So 11 the Lions have to the Blazers 8, as we are now ready to resume play here in set number one. Serve on its way, good pass by Televas. Tight for Manza, who finds Hubbard on the outside. Robinson just tries to keep it in play, and sending it over is De La Torre. And Darty in the middle. The one ball was too quick for the Belhaven Blazers to notice. And a quick kill and quick strike for the Lions. Manzo back to serve. 3 hitters up front for the Lions. Outside set to LaCour. Well kept up by Coelho. Manzo goes back to Televast on the right side, and through the block it goes. Televas, the freshman, getting active early here. Timeout called by the Blazers as they try and shut down the lead in the middle part of set number one. We'll take a quick break alongside with them. In about 60 seconds, we'll be back for the continuation of set number one. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back inside of Cave Arena. Simon Johnson joined by Eric Edmondson here in the lovely balcony we have at the Piedmont campus, watching match number 1 of 3 here as the Lions host both Belhaven and Maryville. Those matches you will see after the conclusion of this one here, where the Lions currently lead in set 1, now 13-9. Belhaven coming out of the timeout, able to capitalize on the stoppage of play, and smartly tips it over an uncovered block.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be there. That's just an unfortunate one.
Back to serve for the Blazes is LaCour. Beautiful pass by Adams-Moss, who can find Manzo in the setter spot. Televas shut down initially and goes right back to her as she goes attempt number 2, this time covered by Robinson. Back set on its way by Ateka. Goes back outside to Gardner. One-handed effort by Adams Mullis, unable to keep it towards the court, and that one sails long, too far away for Coelho to chase down.
It was good judgment there by Mullis. It was going to be line, and you want to fight for that point a lot of the time. So that was a good move by Mullis to try to keep that in.
Back set for Hubbard, goes cross, kept up by LaCour. Sets out, Adams Mullis forced to set up. Hubbard now on the outside, goes deep. Robinson too high for the bump pass there, and Hubbard gets her kill.
It came back down. I think it's still in play.
That is one fun thing about volleyball. If it hits the ceiling on your side and you still have a pass to play, it is still in bounds.
Well, it never touched the floor.
I don't know about hitting the wall or the fencing, perhaps, but it's always fun when it bounces off a permanent structure. It's like a scramble drill, an impromptu one, if that. Belhaven sends this over. Good opportunity for the Lions to capitalize. Bierke on the outside sends it long. Robinson keeps it in. Little tip play there by Kaysen. Lions able to see it though. Dumped by Orteca. Manzo now bump pass to Televast and double covered on the block. The Blazers get over to the right side and shut down Televast's roll. And those are those scramble plays we've been accustomed to seeing from the Lions. They typically come out on top of those plays, but this time just not set up enough to capitalize on the scramble. Lions still lead by 3. Manzo looking to extend it with Bierke through the middle, but kept up well by LaCour. And another block that drops in the middle. The Blazers just getting over the top of the outstretched hands of the front row for the Lions, and now the Lions starting to see a run develop in front of them. Robinson targets Adams Mullis. Good pass by her. Manzo tight ball to the net. Joust opportunity, and the Blazers come out on top once again. This time Emma Gardner with the kill. Blazers full momentum after the timeout was called. They seem to have figured out, as of right now, the recipe for success. Smart tip location for Doherty, but well read by the Blazers. Tip effort here, and this is another good chance as the Lions set up on the right side, but a double is called against the Blazers, and the run from Belhaven is now shut down.
It's a good point. That was a good point to win there for the Lions. Could you get Jessica Sconyers back into rotation?
Now up front you have Televast, Bierke, and Sconyers, a dangerous front 3 for the Lions. Orteca, beautiful back set there to find De La Torre, but that one I thought was going to be blocked, but not enough press up front, and it lands on the side of Piedmont. Now just a 1-point lead for the Lions, 15-14 here.
But the bright side is that you have your offensive players in. You got Manzo, Hubbard, and Sconyers all on the court right now.
Serve on its way by Tompkins. Manzo set up well. Sconyers to the middle, and the beautiful attack lands just wide. It looked as close as possible.
Yeah.
But I do think it landed just a little wide.
I mean, from our point of view, obviously we can't see that line as well, but it was very close and a great idea by Sconyers, and sometimes those just don't add up for you.
Manzo set up to Bierke, who tried to tip it through the block, but a little too low there, and Belhaven now grabs their first lead in quite some time.
We've seen a lot of that this afternoon. We've seen a lot of just trying to tip and float over that front line. The trademark of this Lions offense is hammering it to the back line, especially from Hubbard and Sconyers. So I'm wondering, when is that going to come out? And that might just be a strategy of, hey, we're going to pull this out in maybe a later set, or later we get into the set.
Service error by Tompkins gives the line the ball back on their side as an aggressive pass gives Bierke the chance to tip it over, but kept up by the Blazers. And the attack by Emma Gardner rolls over once again, and no back row coverage for the Lions means the Blazers continue their push to try and grab set number 1.
And they have taken the lead now.
And what do the Lions need to do to kind of bite or nip this in the bud before the lead starts to generate more, as Return error by Adams Mullis extends the lead once again for the Blazers.
Well, controlling the serves would help, right? There's been a lot of serves that go to the back line where Mullis is kind of left alone out there, kind of left out in the wind. She's able to get the touch on them, but they're not as controlled as you would like. They're not at full passes. So I would love to see more passes and less errancy, as we're seeing right now, where the Lions are really just trying to glue something together, but there's nothing there.
It's a tough serve to deal with. Jay Delatorre, the Blazer, who's been firing away from the baseline, and the Lions are struggling to get Manzo set up in position. They're going to call a timeout here to try and do exactly what the Blazers did, come out of this timeout with a game plan, generate a little run for themselves as they now trail by 3, 16-19. And we'll stay with you here for this short minute timeout as Eric, as you mentioned, control a little bit more on the service receive. In terms of attacks, what do you think the Lions need to do?
You got to get that ball to Manzo. Manzo hasn't really had an opportunity to set up Hubbard or set up Sconyers. She's just been trying to facilitate something to get the ball over the net, whether it's to find Bierke or Televast on an angle, just to see if they can do a float tip over. You need your heavy hitters to come out in this scenario, because right now, your back's against the wall. You got to fight back. You got to at least make this even with this next run.
It all starts with the service receive as the Lions come out motivated, trying to stump the Blazers like they just did from their timeout call. Both teams did not need the full minute, so we'll get some action a little bit ahead of schedule, which is lovely. Delatorre's serve on its way. Televast was told it was out, but kept in play as Sconyers does a nice little tip over the head, and it drops right in front of Anaya Tompkins. And the Lions get the side out right out of the timeout.
Great set by Manzo. Sconyers maybe was a little bit too ahead of herself on that jump, but she's able to adjust so well in the air and just put it over.
Coelho now in for the Lions. A good back row for Piedmont. Attack on its way by LaCour, blocked up front by the Lions. Initial tip, Coelho almost had a hand to it, but unable to react in time, and Belhaven bounced right back. Riley White now back to serve, 5 points away from nabbing set number 1 here. And off of the net it goes. Manzo luckily right there to cover for it. Now Sconyers on the right side sends it over. Delatorre bumps set for LaCour, but too low for the Blazers as the Lions get the side out.
The Belhaven's kind of been playing with fire with that aspect all afternoon. All their serves have been quite low to the net. And, of course, that's kind of where you want to live, but it can also lead to some service errors. I hadn't bit them just yet.
Set in the middle, finds Cami Davis for the kill, and the attempted dive by Televast not enough. And back and forth we go, something the Blazers are content with, but the Lions need to start a run at some point here in the waning moments of set 1. Ateka back to serve for the Blazers. Coelho's pass going to go over Cami Davis up front. Manzo meets her at the apex. LaCour on its way. Beautiful pass by Adams Mullis. Chance for the Lions. Dump covered by Robinson. Televast, good cover against Davis's tip. Hubbard on the right side. Great cut there, and a diving effort initially by Robinson isn't enough, and Hubbard gets her kill.
Katie Hubbard's been quite quiet today. I mean, that's the first time, one of the first times that we've kind of had to talk about her. But make no mistake, this team is better when Katie Hubbard is in system and Katie Hubbard's name is being called.
And she is the total attack leader for the Lions by nearly 100. So definitely the number 1 option in this Lions offense. But Mary Televast, the freshman, a wonderful option as well, as that cut across the middle is not covered by the Blazers, and the Lions now cut the lead to 1. Manzo back to serve. Televast, Hubbard, and Daugherty up front. LaCour's attack off the hands of Daugherty on the right side of the palm, and it's going to tool inbounds for a kill.
Lions haven't seen too many service aces today. That's a good job by the Blazers to receive that ball and just keep it up and give themselves a chance.
LaCour back to serve for the Blazers. Hubbard on the service receive, a little tight to the net. And the dump attempt by Emma Gardner just a little wide. And a collective sigh of relief is breathed by the Lions.
Good job by Manzo to not dive for that. Excellent eye, because that easily could have been turned into a Belhaven point, and a very important 2-point gap at this stage in the set.
Hubbard's serve on its way. Robinson's right there for the Blazers. Back set by Ateka, but up front is Bierke and Doherty. And the tip is not going to work with that much height up front. And the Lions knotted up at 22 apiece here in set number 1. Timeout called by the Blazers. And the Lions now have done exactly what we hoped for. Storm back from the deficit in the late stages of set number 1. And now it's anyone's game, Eric.
Yeah, and they're doing it without unleashing their full force or unleashing the big players. Of course, we saw Hubbard get a big kill, but we haven't necessarily called Hubbard and Sconyers the entire time. And I think that just shows what strength this team has in the back burner, in the back line, even when their top players aren't running how they're supposed to. Like Mullis, Sconyers, Hubbard have had the best game. You know, they've had some rough receptions, have some rough dives. It happens, right? But when the rest of your team can come back there and pick you up, that's why this is a team sport, and that's why you have 6 players on the court at all times.
And this is sort of reminiscent of what we saw in the early stages of set number 1, where the Lions weren't doing anything flashy, anything super powerful, but they were playing their game and let Belhaven overextend, overcommit, and just be a little too aggressive with a lot of unforced errors. So the Lions fully capitalizing on playing smart volleyball here, tied up 22 apiece. It's crunch time now here in Cave Arena. Attack on the cut out wide. Ems Mullis, I believe, thought it was landing in. And a quick kill for the Blazers. Make them get just 2 points away.
Sometimes your reflexes can be your worst enemy.
Robinson back to serve for the Blazers. Hubbard, the one to receive the serve. Manzo set up, goes to Televas on the right side. Blocked up front by the Blazers. Emma Gardner says, keep it coming over there because I am reading you like a book. And the Lions now face 3 set points here. Belhaven looking to close it out in just 1. Hubbard on the pass. Manzo needs to move a little bit for it. Televas just going to roll it over. Robinson forced to set up the Blazers. Tough one for Gardner to deal with. Covered well by Hubbard. Neither team in system just yet. This might change in the middle, and it does for Riley White. 1 set point is all the Blazers needed, and they now lead 1-0 here in our first of 3 tri-matches this October afternoon. Eric, we saw the Lions go to 4 sets against the Blazers last time they met, but one thing we know with the Lions is they always love grabbing the first set. It helps them build momentum. Yeah,
you go into the first set, well, obviously, with most energy. You come out big energy the entire time, and that's when you really feel like you might have let slip through your fingers, because it really, if you just weren't paying attention for 30 seconds, Belhaven took the set away. I think the Lions just got kind of overwhelmed there by the Belhaven rush towards the end because they played fast. They wasted absolutely 0 time, and they were just unable to recover from it. Now, coming into this set number 2, it's going to be how much can you build off of that latter half, coming out of that last timeout for the Lions, or going into that last timeout for the Lions, because we saw what the role players can do. We saw how the system can work when the big guys aren't working. So into the second set, we've seen where the Lions have kind of performed pretty poorly in the second set in the past, but this is a team I think you're pretty evenly matched with talent-wise. It's just all about putting it together.
And one thing that you touched on that I really want to elaborate on a little bit more is the time coming out of timeouts. Both times Belhaven called a timeout. Right after they came out, they went on some form of a run. After their first timeout, it was a run upwards of 7 points, and after timeout number 2, they nabbed set number 1 in a blink of an eye. So Lions need to be a little bit better coming out of breaks here in set number 2, but they're as close as possible. They're right there to claiming set number 1. It just had to clean up a little bit, maybe get in system a little bit more, helping Manzo find the attackers not on the run, but rather in position so she can facilitate all 3 attacking spots. We'll take a quick 90-second break here as the Blazers and Lions continue to figure out what their game plan is for set number 2. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics on YouTube. Welcome back inside of Cave Arena. Simon Johnstone joined by Eric Edmondson as we begin set number 2 of our first of 3 matches here inside of Cave Arena. Eric, Belhaven nabbed the first set in tight fashion, 25-22, the first set score. If you missed us, or if you happen to just be joining us now, Eric, catch up our viewers on what the Lions need to do from set 1 to set 2.
You know, I don't know if they need to do anything incredibly different. They need to tweak some things, tighten some of the nuts and bolts on the project. But one of the main things for the Lions is that they were playing balls that were obviously leaving. Right, you want to be aggressive, and especially if you're in an elimination set, you want to play aggressive. But at this moment in time, there's really no need to try to play for something if it is obviously going out. That's a vision thing, that's a reflex thing, and sometimes it can get the better of you.
Service on its way by Manzo. Cami Davis on the attack for the Blazers, kept up well by Ateka. Coelho keeps this one in play. Teammates were claiming it was out, but Coelho not taking any chances. Extended first point here between the Blazers and Lions, both trying to get the first point of set number 2. And the attack was blocked up front. Lions claiming it went deep. And still some discourse between the Lions and the officials are taking place. Called out by the line judge, and the head referee will agree. And after an initial point granted to Belhaven, it will truthfully be the Lions' first point of set number 2.
Our officials are human too, folks.
It's a tight call. Those suck to make a judgment call on, and as someone who's lined a few times traveling for volleyball, it's not fun. It's not the most fun position. Manzo continues her serve. LaCour's attack covered well by Adams-Mullis. Manzo set up well, finds Televast on the outside. And the initial tip up by Gardner, not enough for Ateka to get to, and the Lions look a little bit more in system in the early going of set number 2.
That's a good point, Simon. I feel like in the early half, and really the whole first set, they were out of system a lot, and they were always in scramble. But like I said, when you can find... Manzo is a big focal point in this offense. When she can get into that system, get into that setter role like she is so built to do, this team runs really well.
Bump pass by Ateka finds LaCour. And Coelho, and a unique combination between Manzo and Televaz, almost able to get the ball over, but into the net it goes.
I like the effort.
It's a scrappy point, and that's what the Lions are known for, just digging points seemingly out of nowhere that time, though, unable to do so. Megan LaCour back for the Blazers. Coelho, beautiful pass, finds Manzo set up well. Televaz on the outside, gets the tip, Ateka there to cover. Robinson sends the free ball over. Lions with a beautiful opportunity here. Goes middle to Doherty, but shut down up front by Cami Davis and the Blazers. And what looked like nearly a guaranteed point for the Lions goes the other way for Belhaven.
We've seen some good blocking this afternoon by both sides. Belhaven's had the Lions number here coming out of this set because the Lions have started hitting a lot more heavy than when they came out. And like I said, I thought that we might be able to see that later into a later set or later into a set, and it seems like what we have now. But you can't continue. Beautiful shot by Hubbard. You cannot continue to keep the game plan as is if it's not working. It's all about adaptation. That's what sports is. But when you're Katie Hubbard and you can just go back and hit it, the game plan doesn't really matter. It's just coming at you fast.
When you have that much power behind an arm, it's pretty easy to know what to do when you're up in the air. You may have caught a substitution for the Lions. Stepping on for the first time this afternoon is sophomore Alex Wingate up front. She'll be playing on the outside position. Manzo going to look the opposite way to Televas, who gets the tip off of Belhaven. And that's going to be a kill for the freshman once again.
Big game for Televas. She's had some good hits. She's had some not so great hits, but she's been very focal in this offense in this game so far.
Currently the kill leader for the Lions. After set number 1, she had 5. That makes number 6 here in the early going. Lions leading by 2, 4-2 here. Wingate's tip shut down up front by Cami Davis, and a push set by, I believe, Adams-Mullis was called as a double, and simply an unforced error by the Lions slows down what could have been quite a run.
Oh, well. But it happens, and I like that idea by Mullis initially. You know, maybe not as well executed, but it was a great idea.
Televast looked to have a kill, but good coverage there by Ateka initially, but she bounces right back to block up front on the right side, and Mary Britt Televast is having quite an early afternoon game. Wingate, Scaniers, and Televast up front for the Lions. Adams-Mullis back to serve. Good pass by LaCour, sets up Ateka perfectly, and in to the net flies Riley White. And that will be a net violation against the Blazers, so Lions escape from what would have been a kill by the Blazers with an attacking error.
And that ball looked out, quite frankly, from my angle.
I will abstain from my opinion on that trajectory of the ball. However, regardless of where it landed, it still is the Lions' point. Ateka looks middle, right back to White. But good coverage by Hubbard gives the Lions a chance to keep going, and why not continue to find the hot hand of Mary Britt Televast as she drops one in the back half of the Blazers' side.
It was a beautiful set and hit from Belhaven, and a beautiful set and hit by Piedmont.
A very interesting defensive effort by the Lions does keep it alive, but we will see a lift call against the Lions, likely against Manzo, but I'm not entirely sure. But Mary Britt Televast, 60 kills on the season heading into this matchup. So she sits third on the team in total kills. She continues to trend towards either the first or second spot on the roster, as she's having quite the afternoon so far. Lions still lead by 3, 7-4 in set number 2. Wingate cocks back behind the 10-foot line off the tip of the Blazers, and she gets her first kill in set number 2.
Shoot or shoot, man. That was you were so far back, you really only had one option other than to just float it over, so might as well try it.
Serve on its way by Hubbard, and a service ace, for Televast. As a disagreement between some of the Blazers lead to a timeout needing to be called. Belhaven, shades of what we saw in set number 1, where the Lions now way more aggressive. Before in set 1, we saw the Blazers kind of play themselves into a deficit. This time, Lions are bringing it to them in set number 2. So what do the Blazers need to do, as this is almost a totally different problem that they're facing here?
Yeah, when we in this first set, we saw the Lions being a little bit more passive with their attack and being a little bit more scrambly, right? But now we see the Lions a lot more in system and a lot more cohesive. I'm not sure if that was part of the game plan or if it was just everyone learning how the Belhaven Blazers are playing right now. For Belhaven, right now, you just got to keep blocking. You're blocking very well. Your blocks looked really good, and your service aces you've gotten a lot of service aces. You've gotten a lot of good serves off from your servers. So I think that's a little bit of what they need to keep doing. They've gotten bitten by a little bit on the lines, a little bit, but that is not too much you can do with that, because if it is on the line, it's such a tough call. And right now, you're so early into the second set, there's no need to make those death-defying dives for it.
You're 100% correct, and as you mentioned, blocking as a pro, front row presence just as a concept is super important. If you can, as an attacker, if you see two large hands and extended arms up in front of you, it messes with your psyche a little bit. But the Lions seem unfazed so far in set number 2. Margin is currently 5. White tries to trim it. Hubbard initially keeps it up, but the momentum carries the ball too far away for Televast to chase down, and 3 for 3 are the Blazers coming out of timeouts and nabbing the first point. So hopefully the Lions can change the narrative a little bit, as we also saw the Blazers go on a bit of a run outside of timeouts. Lions hoping to shut it down after just 1 point. Adams-Mullis, beautiful pass. Scaniers on the back set goes cut, but kept up by Tompkins. Televast, tight for Manzo to deal with, does just that though, and Wingate on a cut attack as well. Initially kept in, and the push by the Blazers falls wide, and the Lions shut down the Blazers early.
Hubbard almost went out and dove for that one, but she was able to pull the arms back at the last second. That's that vision thing that comes back. It was a good job to not let just the mindset and the reflexes take over.
Quality court awareness by the Lions. Tompkins back set, and down the line it goes for Shiko. And back and forth we continue here in set number 2. Lions content with that, maintaining a 4 or 5 point lead.
You're fine with back and forth a little bit. Of course, you're going to need to go on a little bit of a run as we near the point total. But back and forth right now, that's okay.
Beautiful pass by Coelho. Back set for Scaniers. Punches it over the top. And a miscommunication between De La Torre and White give the Lions another free point there. Not many of those errors, if any, we've seen from the Blazers so far in set number 2. Like we said, they kind of played themselves into a deficit in set 1. This time, the Lions are bringing the action here as Scaniers sends a jump float on its way, a little too wide for that one. And not many service errors so far for the Lions. That is number 4 on the afternoon, so still not a point of concern. But typically, when you have service errors, you want to at least equal it with service aces. They have not done that just yet. Lions lead by 4. Back to serve for the Blazers is Ateka. Hubbard on the try to do a cheeky roll, but a little too short. And Cammie Davis let that one fall into the net. And the Blazers trim the lead to 3.
It's a rare error by Katie Hubbard. Usually she's very on top of that, but I think she got it caught a little bit in between if she wanted to actually hit it or just go for a roll.
Ateka aggressive float on its way, rolls off the tape of the net and drops just over the line for an ace. Nothing you could do there if you're a Lions player. You just accept it.
It's just one of those things that happens. That's what happens when Belhaven has flown so close to the sun in terms of the tape of the net.
Tough pass between Doherty and Manzo, kept in by Doherty. Attack on its way by Kaysen. Manzo sends it over. De La Torre keeps it in. Ateka to LaCour, and LaCour gets the tool kill off of the hands of Doherty. And one question I have for you, Eric, is we've seen this tool kill, aka when the attack bounces off the hand and drops on the same side as the block against Doherty, a little bit too much in my opinion here. Do you think they should start covering angle a little bit more on the block or stay as their setup?
I like the setup at the moment. I don't think it's too... It's worked to get you the lead in this second set. Of course, if it becomes too much of a problem withstanding, you're going to obviously have to swap it up. But it was a good call by you, Simon, to maybe switch it up right now before it becomes such a problem. So I would say keep an eye on it.
Throw called against the Blazers, rather a lift is what the determining violation will be. And the Lions now reclaim their lead of 3, 13-10 here in set number 2. They trail by 1 set. And this is a very important set to win. Instead of being in a 2-set deficit, you trail by, well, you're all tied. But Megan LaCour trying to shut down any hopes of the Lions winning the second set as she splits the uprights between Doherty and Manzo's block once again. LaCour now back to serve. Jump float on its way, kept in by Hubbard. Manzo goes back to Hubbard, who goes deep, and it just sails 1 ball length too far. And Hubbard, a traditionally consistent attacker, has struggled a little bit here in set number 2.
Yeah. I like the idea of going to the back half. I love when the Lions go to the back half in case of Hubbard. That one just floats a little bit too far. And now you're seeing a little bit more because, as I said, into the first break between sets, Belhaven was playing a lot of balls that were heading out and really helping out the Lions. Now they're not. And now you're seeing the repercussions kind of catch up to Piedmont.
And it's starting to feel like the Lions are trying to force the square peg in the round hole just a little bit too much. Beautiful effort there by Manzo, Doherty, and Hubbard keeps the point alive initially for the Lions. And the attack sails wide, so the Lions steal a point and reclaim the lead 14-13.
And now it's very important to try to get those service aces, or at least try to win these serves, because this is a very tender moment in the set where the momentum can flip just right now.
Beautiful serve by Hubbard, makes Ateka have to sprint it down. Gardner's attack kept in by Wingate. Manzo goes back to Televast, who pushes it off the block of Cammie Davis, and it drops in for the freshman kill. A young front row for the Lions currently, as the sophomore Alex Wingate is joined alongside two freshmen, Televast and Daugherty. Ateka goes for a back set trying to find Kaysen, but kept alive by Hubbard in the back row. Marybert Televast attack looked to be a kill, but good defense by the Blazers keeps the point alive. Miscommunication by Hubbard and Televast. And something, definitely a first here for the Lions, and really never something we see between Hubbard and any other player because they're typically so communicative.
Yeah, that was a rough one, and I'm sure everyone's going to be a little frustrated about that, but you can't let it stay with you too long.
Manzo tight to the net, beautiful back pass, but a smart tip by Adams. Mullis pulls off Alex Wingate, and she finds the hole in the Blazers' defense, and a quick kill for the libero. Why not? Why not? Back to serve is Adams Mullis. Targets LaCour. Ateka goes outside to Gardner on the cross. Good coverage by Adams Mullis. Manzo tight for Wingate to deal with. Beautiful tip, and it lands inside the court. Wingate, beautiful heads-up play there to just tip it over the top of the Blazers block. Adams Mullis looking to continue to extend the lead for the Lions. Tip, not the right answer for the Blazers attack. Televast goes in the attack. One-handed play by Adams Mullis. And the Lions now need to dig in defensively. Ateka goes wide to Gardner, who goes up for the attack. And not enough press on the block there by Marybert Televast. Or there may have been. Apparently Lions point.
It's been an adventure officiating this afternoon, that is for certain.
Pardon my confusion, I didn't catch what it was. My guess would be a net violation, as the attacker may have ran into the net, but what we can say confidently is that's a service ace for Katie Hubbard, or Adams Mullis and the Lions, as they now lead by 5. Blazers recognize this is a time to call a timeout as they decide to cool down.
And this is going to be very crucial coming out of this timeout, because usually we see Piedmont going the aggressive when it's time to come out of the timeout. Belhaven has won that battle every single time this afternoon. So if you can just try to make sure you win this next one out, it does a lot for your momentum. It also gets you 5 points, or just needing 5 points to close this set out. That last run for the Lions was so crucial, but what we cannot do is continue to have the balls go a little bit long, go a little bit short, because that's what killed them in the kind of the 10 to 11 point part of this game, was when Belhaven started advancing upon those mistakes that Piedmont made.
And there's another adversary for the Blazers right now. That's going to be, well, not the referees as a concept, but they're frustrated with some of the calls that have been given towards the Lions, and as an objective bystander, you could just see it on their faces that they're disagreeing with some of the choices made by the team in blue. So that's the first we've seen Belhaven really get frustrated. So it's interesting to see how they can rally and react from that position.
And if you're Piedmont, you can't let that play into your game a little bit. You can't let that play into your game at all. Is that, look, if you're getting helped out by the officials, that's fine. That's not your fault. That is their call. You need to play that advantage and not get stuck in your own mud.
Adams Mullis back to serve for the Lions. Belhaven trying to get a side out right out of the timeout like they've done each and every time. Hubbard, good pass to Manzo, looks to Televast on the outside, and the beautiful high attack. Too quick for Ateka to get a set on, and the Lions, for the first time out of a timeout, nab the first point.
That was crucial, because you win a little bit of the mental game in that scenario.
Also a huge 2-point swing. Instead of it being a margin of 4, it's now 6, and the Lions stand just 5 points away from set number 2. Hubbard, good coverage there. Manzo, good sprint to keep it alive. Televast sends it over. Ateka now trying to set up Gardner on the outside. Tips it, but it touches the antenna, and another attacking error for the Blazers. Let the Lions continue to creep towards grabbing set number 2.
You mentioned that frustration, Simon. This is the moments where the frustration builds. The errors start compounding. Maybe the officials aren't having the best day in your corner. So this is where teams need to grit themselves up. Right now the Lions are just being very aggressive and attacking on that.
Lions claiming that there was a touch by the Blazers up front. All line judges disagree, and the Blazers do get a point from the attacking error of Alex Wingate. I don't mind trying to go for the tips. As you mentioned, frustration is starting to boil over for the Blazers. And when you start to do nitpicky things like hit it off the side of their hands where they're right there but they can't do it, that's when you really start to have the frustration felt on the side. But the Blazers not content with being shut down here. Service ace for Thompson.
And you can't let them start creeping back. You can't let, I don't want to use the term confidence, but you don't want to let them start creeping back into this mental game because, I mean, sports is 90% mental and 10% physical.
Tompkins able to keep that one alive as LaCour sends it over. Good opportunity here for the Lions to shut down the momentum. Smart tip by Scaniers. Pancake played by Tompkins, and the point stays alive. Manzo looks to Televast, who's on fire, gets the tool off up front block, and the Lions now stand 3 points away.
No, chef not in the kitchen for a pancake on that one. Beautiful shot by Televast.
Televast back to serve for the Lions, 22-16 your score. Tompkins looks back to Gardner, little tip. Beautiful coverage across by Wingate, but unable to keep it anywhere near another teammate as that one flies wide.
Lions need to be careful here because Belhaven is very much still in this game no matter what the scoreboard indicates, because this game, as we saw in the closing moments of the first set, can just go by like that. That's how fast this Belhaven team can rip off points, and that's how fast points can pile up on you.
A aggressive serve there by De La Torre and the Blazers as the Lions continue to struggle with this service receive. Blazers trail now by just 4. And the Lions, Eric, this feels like one of those crucial points right here. Adams Mullis finds Scaniers, who passes it back to Hubbard, kept in by De La Torre. And the Lions now have a good chance in system to look for Scaniers on the slide, and they capitalize there. The Orlando native with the senior setup, and the Lions now stand 2 points away from set number 2.
You know, Simon, I was going to say it's like when you're watching football and you need a big stop on third down. That's exactly what that was right there. That was the big stop that the Lions needed.
Tompkins back set, looking for Shiko. Manzo goes back to a back row attack for Televast, kept in by Robinson. Tompkins rolls it on over. Adams Mullis ready for that one. Hubbard, very awkward ball, able to keep it in play. LaCour sends it over. Coelho, beautiful pass here. Back row set once again for Televast. Nice roll in there. LaCour, tough tip, kept in by Scaniers. Deep pass by Televast, but good coverage by De La Torre. And through the extended rally, Shiko the one to run out of steam first, and the Lions win a gauntlet of a point and now claim their set point number 1. Coelho goes for the short angle, and just too short it was. And Eric, I'm going to ask for your opinion there. Is that the right game plan, do you think, trying to get a service ace?
Not when Belhaven's this close, because you don't want to flip possession. Now, if Belhaven was around at 15 or something of that nature, yeah, go ahead and try a floater. But not at this moment, especially when you've struggled with the service reception.
24-19 your score. Attack by LaCour, kept up by Adams Mullis. Hubbard on the right side sends it over, tipped up well by the Blazers. Tompkins back to LaCour once again, tip covered by Televast. Adams Mullis goes to Hubbard, who leans back, kept it again by De La Torre. The Lions continuing to stay aggressive. Adams Mullis 3 for 3, finds Hubbard, goes on the cross. Good reactions by the Lions and the Blazers. The point continues to get more and more sporadic. And a reactionary block up front by Scaniers catches Riley White off guard. And the Lions grab set number 2 off of their first set point.
Those last 2 points were really run by the Lions were really gutsy. You know, they tried a lot of different things. They pulled a lot of different tricks out of the bag, and ultimately it wasn't a Hubbard hit. It was a block by Scaniers that was the undoing of Belhaven. I think they just weren't expecting that, and that's exactly what you need to do. Just spring out when they're not expecting you to.
Beautiful, gritty determination by the Lions as they now knot up the score. 1 set apiece here on our first match of 3 here on this October afternoon inside of Cave Arena. 3 minutes is the set break between sets, and we're going to step away for a brief moment. When we return, the quote-unquote swing set will be underway as both teams try and reclaim the lead with a 2-1 margin. It's time for set number 3 inside of Cave Arena. Simon Johnstone joined by Eric Edmondson as we are excited to kick off set number 3 as the Lions claimed an impressive set number 2 against the Blazers of Belhaven in match number 1 of our 3-match slate. Eric, for the Lions, what did they do in set number 2 that differentiated from set 1, and what should they try and carry over to set number 3?
I think they were able to find their big hitters. Hubbard had a good set. She was able to, especially in that last point, she was able to get a few over. She had a couple of errors, but it's going to happen. I think the biggest thing is just to continue to find Manzo and be able to set up your attack rather than just trying to find a way to get over the net. I know I say that a lot. Of course, you're going to be better when you set up something. But for the Lions, really it's just the fundamentals for them to continue to win because this is a team they can beat.
You're 100% correct. And one thing I want to touch on quickly before we dive full on into set number 3 is the statistics revolving around the attacks and kills, as the Lions have a 5-kill lead on the Blazers, but more importantly, they have 2 less attacking errors. So their overall team stats in terms of percentage is 0.81 higher than the Blazers. So Lions more efficient, more powerful, better at ending points when they get opportunities to attack. So Lions trying to continue their aggressiveness. We saw them put their foot on the gas a little bit more in set number 2, trying to bring it to the Blazers instead of just let the Blazers play into a deficit. 1-1 as we're just 2 points in to set number 3. Adams Mullis able to find Manzu, goes back to the on-fire Televast, and that ball is going to drop into the corner. But overruled by the head umpire and assistant referee as well, as the Blazers will claim that point instead. Very tight call, Eric. Very
tight call, and this is something that I want to highlight here. Lions really need to figure out how to avoid the service ace. They need to figure out their receptions.
That is a great point to make, and sometimes commentators curse benefits the home team as service error.
And we talked about it, like Belhaven flies very close to the net. It's eventually going to come back and bite you because that's just your increments off in that scenario. We've seen where it trips up Piedmont by hitting the top tape. But as that one showed, hits right square in the middle of the net. So the Lions, I still need them to be better off the services, but that helps.
LaCour tip push covered by Manzo. Wingate continues to stay in for the Lions. She had a beautiful set number 2 after sitting in set number 1. So she'll stay on the outside spot for Piedmont. Televast on the right side, shut down up front by Cammie Davis and LaCour. And the Blazers' front row presence had gone missing in set 2, but have definitely reintroduced themselves in set number 3. Robinson back to serve for the Blazers. Good pass by Hubbard. Manzo, bit of a run, finds Wingate on the outside, who tries to roll it over, but too short off the lower part of your palm. Won't have enough power. And the Belhaven Blazers jump ahead 4-2. Robinson, short serve. Hubbard gets it tight to the net. LaCour on the dump. And free point after free point for the Blazers, as the Lions seem a little slow out of the gates here in set number 3.
And that point was kind of preceded by a misplay on a service.
Manzo looks to Televast and kept in play initially by De La Torre and bounces off the hands for a kill. Televast continues to push tempo on the aggressiveness. So I believe that was actually Daugherty, rather, on the kill. Pardon me. Adams Mullis serve on its way. Lions trail by 2. Tucking the outside by Kaysen, kept up by Hubbard. Manzo in a good spot, looks to Wingate, who just tips it over and covered by Ateka. LaCour on the outside, kept in off the block. Televast pushes one deep, and De La Torre finally lets one go, as that attack sails just long. Eric, is there anything you'd like to see from the Lions in terms of attacking when they have the opportunity to?
I don't know. I like the attack right now. I really do. It's just at the moment they're flying a little bit too much, and that's just something you make an adjustment to during the game. But right now I think the attacking is okay. They're just coming out a little sluggish, which happens, especially after such a tightly contested set as was the last one.
The attack by Wingate didn't get to the hands of Belhaven, so 4-hit violation against the Lions. Continue to balloon the Blazers' lead as it now stands by 4, 7-3 here in set number 3. Tompkins back for the Blazers. Good pass by Hubbard, finds Sconiers quickly in the middle, and Sconiers and Manzo, the connection we've seen for 4 years, has drawn a kill once again.
It's a beautiful strike by Sconier. She was able to get the opportune amount of air. She was able to hit it right at the apex. That was just a beautiful hit.
Lions hoping to continue to trim the lead, but what's not going to help is service errors, as Televast's serve is just going to fly into the net. We haven't seen many service errors by the Lions. That was service error number 5 through 2 1/4 sets. So not horrible, but not the number you'd like. Ideally, it's trimmed to 0. Service returns, however, Eric, like we've spoken on, is still the main point of concern right now. It's something very fixable. It's just playing high percentage locations to give Manzo a chance to help her find her attackers. But right now, the Lions struggling to get a read on those float serves. The Blazers, on the other hand, cannot read Sconiers as she gets another kill quickly, and she's fired up as another quick set by Manzo gets the Lions right back to serving. Lions trail by 4, 5-9. Good serve by Coelho, who's now checked in for the Lions. Cross by Gardner, well covered by Hubbard. She wants it, tight to the net it goes, and off the hands of Shaiko, and the Lions now starting to build a bit of a run. And we spoke on it in set number 1, that veteran leadership we know and love from the Lions with Manzo, Sconiers, and Hubbard on the front row is exactly what you need to start building a run. Shaiko shut down up front by Sconiers and Hubbard. And the Lions can seemingly do no wrong as their offense and defense are firing on all cylinders.
This was a huge run. Even if the run stops here, you've closed a big gap early on in this set, and you've kind of reshook the momentum.
Starting to remind Belhaven what they're capable of on both sides of the ball, but Blazers undeterred just yet as a quick kill by Riley White slows down the run. And Eric, gonna pin the blame on you there. It was a great run until you mentioned the run.
Well, like I said, losing that run at that moment, that's okay, because you closed the gap. So as long as you continue to play as good as you have been, because you are just going to get beat sometimes by a good strike.
No, it was, of course, well done by the Blazers. I just love giving you a hard time. Lions do get the ball right back, though, as an attacking error by Emma Gardner. It's a little too short on the tight cut attempt. Sconiers back to serve. She does a plethora of different serves. This time it's a standing float. Gardner able to read it. Tompkins looking to find the middle of Cammie Davis, and off the hands once again by Daugherty. And the Lions are struggling to block in the middle.
And now, like you said earlier set, Simon, that just needs to change, because right now if you're in that spot to block, you're in that spot on the net, you got to realize that it's just going to keep biting you unless you change something about your game.
Ateka serve on its way. Good pass by Coelho. Ball outside to Hubbard, who unleashes a cannon, but covered by Robinson and the Blazers. Kaysen sends it over. Televast is there. Outside to Hubbard once again. Robinson. It's like we're in a time loop. Back row attack by LaCour, kept again by Televast. Will it go to Hubbard? It will not. It will go to Daugherty, who tries to roll it across, but it rolls across the net instead. And an attacking error after an extended point for the Lions, mean the Blazers now lead by 4. Ateka back for the Blazers once again. That serve going to sail deep. Trying to find the baseline of the basketball court instead was that volleyball.
Just a bit outside.
Big Euchre fan, huh?
Of course.
Manzo back to serve. 3 attackers in for the Lions up front. Robinson, back row pass for LaCour. Good spot there to find Manzo and take the setter out. Televast on the attack, gets the RPMs to keep it in bounds, and Televast continuing to snipe that baseline as she nabs yet another kill.
Belhaven's kind of been twice shy about defending in that area because so many have flown out in that area. So it's a perfect opportunity to snipe.
It's absolutely right. There's been a couple instances as well where most of the team believe the ball's sailing deep and they keep it in play. So a bit of a miscommunication, maybe not really feeling the court as well as they typically do are the Blazers, but sometimes an attack sails a little too long and you can call it with ease. Hubbard's going to fly wide there. Blazers continue to lead now by 3, 13-10 in set number 3. De La Torre's serve called out by the team. It lands just in and service ace for De La Torre. Lions trying to reclaim their good service returns from earlier in set number 2. Hubbard, though, leaning back, gets the aggressive attack, and she nabs yet another kill for the Lions, shutting down the small Blazers run.
We haven't seen a lot of that from Hubbard. A lot of Hubbard's hits have been kind of blocked and received well, so that's a little bit refreshing to just see Hubbard burn one past somebody.
Serve on its way, tried to go tight like the Blazers, but a little too low there. That's a service error for the Lions.
And if the tight serve is not working for you, let's not try it. That's the second time that we've seen that from the Lions. If the floating was serving you a little bit better and just giving you a better opportunity to score, you got to stick with it because now you're in a scenario in a big swing set where you want to take the lead.
And a interesting play by the Blazers. It was a tip followed by a collision with the net, so the Lions able to walk away with the point there.
I was worried that wouldn't get called for a second.
I was going to tell you, the silence was due to me staring at the head referee, making sure that I was on the same page as them. And it resulted as that. Lions trailing by 3 once again. Kaysen tried to get between the block of Scaniers, and it does just that. Gets right below the hands of Scaniers, rolls down the arms, and lands on the side of Piedmont. It's just one of those where you're almost too tall. It's hard to press over, as when you have so much vertical and you're over the net so much, you really need to extend those arms outward. There's no violation of crossing the net if you're blocking, rather just on the attack, so Scaniers can continue to push. There's also no violation if you're the Lions of a service error on the side of Belhaven, so Lions more than grateful to get that point right back. The lead has jostled between 4 points and 3 points for the majority of set number 3. It's tightly contested after a quick Blazers run. Lions trying to find one here in the middle stages. Wingate goes for a deep roll covered by Tompkins. De La Torre, beautiful bump pass to LaCour, and the Blazers generate an attack out of nothing. Televast back row finds Tompkins. Robinson now forced to set. Hubbard, Manzo, little dump ball, diving effort by Robinson keeps it alive. LaCour going to send this over. Lions now once again in a beautiful spot to capitalize. Slide play by Scaniers, punches it cross, and it snipes the outside line. Scaniers gets the kill after an athletic effort there on the right side.
Man, oh man, you saw it kind of developing really slowly. I'm not sure if Belhaven really knew that was going to be anywhere close to where that was. It was a great idea to Scaniers to go to that side of the court.
Very heads-up play, as traditionally on those plays, you usually either go middle or line, so smart to recognize that they're going to cover those spots and cut it across instead. Lions now trailing by 2, but the momentum seems to be favoring the home team. LaCour goes down the line. Televast is there. Adams Mullis looks to Wingate. Smart tip covered by LaCour. Deep pass, one-handed touch by Hubbard, keeps it in. Manzo now on the attack. Point continues on. This time LaCour goes at it. Splits between the hands of Manzo and Scaniers. And Televast, who had a fist on it, unable to pop it up for her teammates.
Just keep it close. Just keep it 2-3. That's okay, because volleyball is a game of runs, and eventually a run's going to fall into your lap. It's going to happen. So just keep it close.
Manzo to Wingate. Good press over by the Blazers, as Scaniers now just punches it on over to the Blazers. Scheiko attack, sails long, no touch on the side of the Lions. And once again, we trade possessions here. deep into set number 3. Manzo front row alongside Scaniers and Hubbard. Coelho, Televast, and Adams Mullis back. High ball. Hubbard says thank you very much and sends that one right back to the Belhaven side. Easy kill there for the junior. And that's going to result in a Belhaven timeout. Lions trailing now by just one, 16-17 your score here in set number 3. We're going to take a quick breath along with the players out on the court. Stay tuned for the continuation of set number 3 here on Piedmont University Athletics. Welcome on back inside of Cave Arena. Lions trying to reclaim the lead late in the 3rd set after an impressive run and defensive effort by Piedmont. Lions have started to show off their offensive prowess once again, and defensively, when you have Scaniers up front, that's a high point as well. Scaniers, cheeky little dump block there, knots the game up at 17 apiece. Coelho back to serve, singles out Gardner. LaCour now back to Gardner, who just has to roll it over. Hubbard keeps it in, finds Manzu, goes to Scaniers in the middle. Tough ball is well played. Tip initially, 2 one-fist efforts, but not able to send it back over are the Lions. And a quick point there for Belhaven.
If they were able to send that over, that would have been something. That ball was flying real low.
I was starting to hear the echoes of da-na-na, na-na-na flying through Cave Arena. Serve on its way by Riley White. That one sails long and service errors. As you mentioned, they fly very close to the net. That time just flies quite deep, rather. And that's the risk you run having such an aggressive mindset when it comes to those service points. You can get a lot of return errors like we've seen against the Lions, but sometimes too many service errors will keep a set tight. Cammie Davis on the attack, net violation against the Lions, and the Blazers reclaim that service error point right back. Miriam Ateka back for the Blazers. That means 3 attackers up front for Belhaven. Lions have Vanessa Manzo in the front row, so keep an eye out for a nice little dump tip here by the setter. Manzo will be content to bump set to Hubbard. One-handed diving effort by Robinson keeps the point alive for Belhaven. And a attempted short roll to single out the setter. Little too low percentage there if you're the coach of the Blazers, and the Lions content with tying it up 19-all here and set 3. Clamors of it sailing out were called, but LaCour keeps it in play. Adams Mullis, good pass. Manzo tight to the net, finds Hubbard on the cross. Belhaven now trying to send one over, but once again, a low percentage aggressive location for the Blazers lets the Lions jump ahead in the late stages of set number 3.
And now you're seeing that aggressiveness of Belhaven really come back and bite them, because aggressiveness is great, but you got to have discipline to back it up. And right now, Belhaven's hitting balls that are heading way out, and they're just very shallowly trying to put things over the net.
Gardner on the tip, lands right inside the campfire. Nobody there to cover for it. And that's quite a heads-up play there by Emma Gardner. 20-all here. And it's been the story in all 3 sets. None of them have been blowouts. It's been as evenly matched as you can imagine. Manzo in a nice spot, able to find Televast on the outside. Lefty nearly gets the kill, but kept up by De La Torre. One-handed touch by Coelho, almost kept the play involved, but not to be, as the Blazers continue to put the ball down in these crucial situations. Not wanting to let the lead, or run rather, develop. Piedmont's going to call a timeout here, and we're going to introduce our favorite segment, or my favorite segment rather, which is Speaking with Coach Eric. Coach, thank you for joining us in the booth. As the Lions volleyball head coach, what would you do right now in these moments, trailing by 1, just 5 points away from winning or losing the set?
I would up the aggressiveness. You know, the Piedmont has been the more disciplined team today, especially in this set. They've been a lot more disciplined. They've been letting some things go. I'd be really aggressive. Be hyper aggressive for a couple points. See if you can get those big hits from the angles, get some big cuts, and make those dives to keep the ball alive.
And when you speak on aggressiveness, is this controlled aggression where you're trying to hit it off the block? Or are we going guns blazing, let's put the ball down on the court?
Let's guns blazing. Let's see how far we can bury this ball.
I like it. Thank you, Coach, for joining us. Your team is now walking back on the court. Viewers at home, of course, I'm still speaking with my co-commentator, Eric Edmondson, but we do love our segment of Speaking with Coach Eric. Lions coming out of the timeout, presumably with a game plan to get a side out right here. De La Torre back to serve for Belhaven on the right side. Serve on its way, and I don't know if they drew that up, but a service error is more than welcomed on the side of Piedmont.
And that's another key here is, listen, if Belhaven's going to be aggressive, they're going to continue and not reshape their game plan. You got to let them do it. Don't play into their hands.
Hubbard back to serve. Robinson, beautiful pass to Ateka. Tight ball for Cammie Davis, covered well by De La Torre. LaCour leans back, Hubbard on the cover. Manzo in a nice spot, looks to Televast on the right side. Down the line she goes, kept up by Robinson. Kaysen on the tip, takes out Manzo. So now Adams Mullis the one to set up Televast. Deflection once again, and these are these gritty points we talk about for the Lions as they continue to fight for a genuine attack. Rolled over by Robinson. Little dump there by Ateka. Manzo able to set up for a Wingate off the deflection, and it hits off the outstretched hands of Robinson, and Alex Wingate, the second set substitution, steps up big here in set number 3. Lions lead in the late stages 22-21. Hubbard looking to continue the run. Aggressive serve puts the Blazers on the back foot. And the Lions now with a beautiful opportunity, but a tough touch there by Daugherty gives the ball right back to the Blazers and ties the score 22 apiece.
We knew it was going to be a tight contest coming down the stretch. We knew that. One of these teams is going to go on a run to really close this one out.
Televast's attack kept up by the Blazers. LaCour on the outside, rolls it on over. Wingate's there. Manzo sets to Wingate on the outside and blocked up front by the Blazers, and the Blazers now stand just 2 points away from set number 3. Lions are getting into system. Manzo has the chance to find her attackers, but the points are still continuing on. This time, another good chance. Manzo back set to Televast, a little too tight there for the Piedmont Lions. LaCour goes over. Hubbard doing a fantastic job in the back row, keeps the point up. Wingate's attack initially tipped, I believe, maybe not. After a tough sequence of events there, the Blazers now stand 1 point away, 24-22. Belhaven leads. Eric, I don't know if you saw exactly what happened. If you did, walk me through.
I mean, Wingate got a good touch on that one, but it was a good job by Mullis to try to keep that in. Wingate just froze. Just could not be able to move towards that ball or know where it was. In scenarios like that, I understand that you don't want to throw an arm out to try to get a deflection, but you can't freeze. Move out of the way, let somebody else come into that has a better view on that ball. Duck, do something, because right now, you're in elimination. You're about to fall down 2-1. Lions still have a very good opportunity to come back here, but as I said, with the mistakes that both of these teams are making in grind time, in the time where it's time to go, someone's going to go on a run, and we just saw a 3-point, hopefully not a 3-point run, be put up by Belhaven.
It all starts with a pass, as if they can get a good serve receive here, Manzo has two very threatening options in the freshman of Daugherty and Televast up front, along with her opportunity to do a little dump ball. I can slightly foreshadow. I think that's what's going to happen here. That's my official prediction. Manzo, however, going to decide to go to the freshman Televast, who continues to impress in her freshman campaign as she gets a kill to continue set number 3.
I like Mullis serving here. She's been good so far. Don't need to do anything special though.
Keep the ball in play is strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is win the point. Ateka inside, goes for the dump, and Bryn White gets the kill to close out set number 3. Lions as close as you can possibly make it, losing by just 2 points there, and it felt like Piedmont set to lose as they were building momentum in the late stages. They felt like their offense was flowing a little bit better, but unfortunately the Blazers found the momentum at the right time, capitalizing on the Lions' errors, and all of a sudden the Lions now have their backs against the wall, down 1-2.
Yeah, Belhaven didn't necessarily win that one, but they took advantage of a lot of Piedmont mistakes. Piedmont lost that one. I feel like they had all the momentum in the world to win that set. And unfortunately, they just couldn't close it. They couldn't get it to a point where you could win it. It seemed like every single time that the Lions got close or got to a point where you set yourself up for an attack, some slip up, something happened, and Belhaven was just able to be a little bit more sturdy and go through it.
You're absolutely right. Well, the Lions now need to find a way to win 2 consecutive sets to hopefully push this to a 5th set. We're going to take a quick break for roughly 2 minutes. When we return, will we see the Lions continue to fight and push to set number 5, or will we see the conclusion of our first of 3 matches here on this October afternoon? Find out in roughly 2 minutes. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics. It's time for set number 4 and match number 1 of our 3-match slate this October afternoon. Simon Johnstone joined with Eric Edmondson up in our lovely perch as the Lions currently trail 1-2 in their home court in our 3-team CCS tri-match. It's a good opportunity for the Lions, like we mentioned at the start of this afternoon, for them to make a jump in the CCS standings. They're playing 2 teams who sit in the top 3 of the CCS ranking. So Lions have to fight here.
Yeah.
It was a swing set in set number 3, tightly contested, 23-25. They lost it. And now the Lions need to figure out some minor changes to hopefully push this to a 5th set.
And I felt like the Lions had their best chance in set number 3 to win that. I feel like they should have won that, and unfortunately they just could not come up with the big hit, could not come up with the big rally. And I think, you stand in a very possible set of pushing it to a possible set 5, but you're going to have to work for it.
It's going to have to rely on aggressiveness. And we also see a substitution for Piedmont as Kaya Perkinson checks in for the Lions. Unknown if Scaniers is sitting out or Doherty's sitting out. One of the two middles are replaced here in set number 4. We'll let you know when the other middle checks in. Right now, Kaya Perkinson is in for Piedmont. Dilatore's serve on its way. Adams Mullis keeps it in. Manzo goes to option number 1, Katie Hubbard, and that's why she is, as she grabs herself another kill. Of course, I mean option number 1 in terms of kill leaders, as all the Lions are very dangerous options. Hubbard now back to serve. Hoping to get an early jump here in set number 4. Sets out, Manzo receives the ball. Televast now on the aggressive roll. Well passed by Dillatore. LaCour off the outstretched hands of Televast. Tips up in the air. Hubbard a little too late on the deflection to get there. And just back and forth we go in the early stages.
Something we saw a lot of in set number 3 towards around the midway point, and that was just playing back and forth with points.
Hubbard, nice pass. Manzo able to find Televast, and off the deflection of the block it goes. Identical to what we just saw on the Belhaven side. And the Lions knotted up here 2 apiece.
I like what I've seen from Piedmont, and it just kind of occurred to me. I like what I've seen from Piedmont today because usually we see in set number 3, maybe the Lions are gassed a little bit. No, they look very up to task. They look like they just warmed up and they're ready to go. That's a great thing to have, especially when you get into these dog day sets of just not only elimination sets, but getting this deep into the 4th set.
And part of it as well, like you said, these extended sets, set number 4, it falls into playing high percentage. It falls into playing the good angles, the smart plays, because as you get more fatigued, more exhausted, you start to force things. You're not going to hit the ball as cleanly. You're not going to be on your timing as well. So the Lions trying to clean all of that up and make sure they're giving themselves the best chance to push this to a 5th set. Blazers currently hold the lead 3-2. Televast cocks back. Tompkins there to keep it up for Belhaven. LaCour on the smart roll, and Scaniers continues to be a presence up front, this time on the defensive end, as she gets her left finger out there and drops it down for a block.
Want to highlight Manzo on that last point. Manzo was able to make behind the back, not only just keeping the ball up, but passes. She was able to punch the ball in the air and just make sure that was playable for her hitters.
Wingate's attack blocked up front once again. This time Shaiko goes at Scaniers. Scaniers pops it up for Adams Mullis. Back row for Televast. Good defensive play once again by both teams. Bryn White, Robinson. Now it's over to LaCour, and the block by Manzo deflects off the right side, and the momentum carries it wide for a Blazers point. Eric, we were handed our stat sheets at the conclusion of set number 3, and the first thing that jumps out to me are service aces and service errors. We look at Belhaven stats, and it's 6 service aces to 7 service errors. Almost a good ratio. Typically you want 1 for 1, ideally 2 for 1, but 1 for 1 is usually a good level to be at. For Piedmont, it's 2 aces to 6 errors.
Yeah, and that's a credit to Belhaven. These have been good serves by the Lions. We've seen them get sometimes a little aggressive and trying to bury it near the top of the net. But, I mean, credit to Belhaven. They've been very good off the reception this afternoon. The Lions, on the other hand, they're letting Belhaven fall into this trap of service aces. We saw a lot of service errors. We saw a lot of service aces in the first set especially, but when we got to the 3rd set, the service errors started to kind of pile up on Belhaven. While they were able to come out of that with the win, if they were to lose, that is something I would have put the blame on squarely, is that they let too many points go across on the service errors. Absolutely right, and one last thing to note in terms of statistics are the kill leaders.
After 3 sets, Mary Britt Televast has 14 kills, double second place, which is tied between the two senior Jessica Sconiers and junior Katie Hubbard, who are leading the team first and second in kills traditionally. So Mary Britt Televast has stepped up huge for the line. She'll need to continue to do that, as she's been a great weapon on both the outside and right side. And Sconiers swinging the most efficiently currently, as she's swinging a 1-3-6 in the middle position. Manzo, little bump set to Sconiers on the lead back, just keeps it in play. White looks over to Gardner off the deflection. Coelho notices it and keeps it up. Hubbard now goes cross. LaCour is there. Deep ball by Tompkins, and Televast tries to keep it up, unaware. Coelho was there for the pass. And Belhaven all of a sudden lead by 4 in the early stages, 8-4.
I was about to say, you got to be careful here, because now Belhaven's on the run, and this can get very dangerous very quickly, especially when you're in an elimination set.
LaCour's pass to Tompkins, over to Gardner now. Good pass by Coelho. Manzo, back row set for Televast, and that one lands short into the net. And it feels like Belhaven really aren't generating much on the offensive side. It's a lot of Piedmont errors that have led to this deficit. Aggressive serve by Belhaven. Doesn't matter, as a smart pass by Manzo finds an already up in the air Sconiers as she puts down yet another kill. Sconiers' reward is dropping back to serve, as now it's Manzo, Perkinson, and Hubbard up front for the Lions. Gardner elevates over the top of Manzo and gets the kill down the line. And every time the Lions get a point, it seems like the Blazers are quick to bounce back and grab a return. Ateka back for the Blazers, leading by 5, 10-5. Deflection off of the net may have put off Adams Mullis a little bit, and that's going to be a service ace for Belhaven.
That one just a little bit too hot to handle there. It happens, but it is a very dangerous spot in the game for the Lions. They got to find a way to come on a run here, because every time they've been put on the back foot, on the back burner against Belhaven, they've been able to develop a run and at least close the gap to maybe 2 or 3 points. Not so much as this landslide we're seeing right now with 5.
The Lions do get the side out from a service error by Ateka. Manzo now back to serve. Roll ball by Gardner, kept in by Coelho. Hubbard on the right side gets the kill. Ateka not able to keep it in play. And Katie Hubbard nabs yet another kill. I believe that's kill number 8 for her in game number 1. Manzo's service on its way. Ateka needs to move for a little bit, but able to find Gardner set up easily. But Gardner's ball connects with the antenna. And an attacking error for Belhaven. All of a sudden, the Lions starting to sniff some of that momentum, starting to build a bit of a run.
And that's exactly what has made this match so fun to watch, is that this has been very back and forth by both squads. Whenever the Lions have found themselves in a hole, they've been able to recover pretty quickly and find their way to rattle off at least 2 points to find their way back. Obviously, they're still in the hole, 4 points down, but I mean, the Lions are never out of a fight, especially when it comes to Belhaven.
Delatorre's serve on its way. Beautiful pass by Hubbard, able to find Perkinson in the middle is Manzo, but covered well by Ateka. Attack by LaCour deflects off the hands of Perkinson. And that is a recipe we've seen consistently by the outside hitters of Belhaven. It's attacking the inside hand of whichever middle is out there for the Lions and letting it dump down tight to the net. Speaking of tight to the net, is that serve as it rattles off the tape. A good diving effort by Adams Mullis keeps it alive. Ateka finds the core and a dump once again. Adams Mullis not able to get to the short attack. And Belhaven now jump ahead 14-8. Hubbard, nice pass once again to Manzo. Back to Hubbard. It goes down the line and lands in for Katie Hubbard. A connection, like you mentioned, we haven't mentioned a ton. She's getting involved. She's nearing 10 kills this afternoon.
And I kind of like this subdued role for Hubbard. She's in the back and she's facilitating a lot. She has a lot of control of the ball, and that's really helped the Lions' backline defense in this game, which we haven't really had to mention, and that's a good thing. Where she's been in the back, she's been able to facilitate a little bit, but she's also very dangerous where she can come up. So I do like this role for Katie Hubbard, but I'm waiting for the moment when the chips get pushed in a little bit here and Hubbard gets deployed fully along with Sconiers.
We're likely reaching the apex of that very soon as Belhaven continues to creep toward closing this out in 4 sets. Mary Bertelevas, however, continues to have an excellent match number 1 as she nabs another kill in the deep corner.
It also helps that Televas has had such a very good game. That Hubbard's able to stay in the back and do what she needs to do to help the team win.
She's had a significant share of sets. Roughly 33% of all sets have gone to Mary Bertelevas in today's matchup. Attacking error there by Kaysen. Have the Lions claim a couple points in a row. They now trail by just 4, 15-11. Adams-Mullis back to serve, targets out LaCour. Attack on the full run, able to find LaCour, but a nice block up front by the Lions keeps it on the Belhaven side. A ball straight down the middle, unsure whether or not that was Adams-Mullis's or Hubbard's, leads to a miscommunication there by the Lions, and a team that's normally so vocal are struggling a little bit in the back row here in set number 4. Blazers continuing to creep towards an identical victory that they had over the Lions earlier this year in 4 sets. Lions trying to rewrite the script here as they look to push it to a 5th and hopefully steal away their first match. Televas back to serve for the Lions after reclaiming the point on an attacking error by Belhaven. Good serve by Televas. Belhaven completely out of system as Shaiko just rolls that one over. And the connection works once again. Sconiers and Manzo continue to fire as Manzo continues to look to the middle and find the on-fire Sconiers.
There's no better view than when you catch the team completely flat-footed with your hit.
Tompkins finds LaCour on the cross. Adams-Mullis is there. Good coverage by the Lions. Wingate heads up tip. Shakur is there. And back and forth we go. Another little roll by LaCour. And a good effort by Adams-Mullis keeps it alive. Sconiers gets up for the dump. And Sconiers grabs the kill after a poor pass by Belhaven. And the Lions continue to build momentum in set number 4 as they trail by just 2, 16-14. 60-second timeout taken by Belhaven. We're going to take a 60-second break as well, but don't go anywhere as the Lions continue to build momentum here on Piedmont University Athletics. Welcome back inside of Cave Arena. Simon Johnstone joined by Eric Edmondson as the Lions come out of this timeout with full momentum. They've cut the lead to just 2, 16-14 here in the middle stages of set number 4. They need this set to continue the matchup against the Belhaven Blazers, and plays like that, a solo block by Vanessa Manzo, are what the Lions need to try and reclaim the lead. Eric, out of the timeout, what are you going to tell your players to try and continue this momentum?
Keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you're doing nothing wrong here. Of course, a couple points are going to fall, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Lions doing right now. They just need to continue to run at the speed they're going.
Lions' up front presence has been extremely potent, and what happens as a result of that is Belhaven trying to work around the blocks. Tried to go for a cup ball, was LaCour, and too wide, the ball sails, and the Lions now tie it up 16-16 here in set number 4.
and the Lions have been able to really win the timeout war. And now that was something obviously just finicky that happened in the first couple sets, but that's very important where you're able to kind of wash away that game plan that got just got preached.
De La Torre's pass to Tompkins, looks middle to White, but kept up alive by Televast. Wingate on the cut, attempt a little too wide there, and Belhaven continues to hold their lead. I don't mind that, though. I like the aggressive cut plays. We've seen that a lot from Alex Wingate. She's a bit of an unorthodox attacker in the sense that she goes for these cut balls, these tip attacks. It's not a lot of high percentage down the middle, but rather these unique nitpicky situations that might catch the Blazers on the back foot. Speaking of back foot, Tompkins' back foot helps her run into the net, and an attacking error due to the setter hitting the net lets the Lions knot it up at 17 all. Coelho back to serve. Manzo, Scaniers, and Hubbard up front. The perfect cocktail to an aggressive front three. Tompkins looks to White, an aggressive attack. Scaniers is able to pop it up for the Lions. Hubbard down the right side goes line, sets out for Belhaven as Tompkins keeps the tack up. Coelho, Manzo, Scaniers on the slide, popped up by Belhaven. Back over to Gardner, and once again, Belhaven are getting the majority of their kills, Eric, on these little roll balls. It's not a lot of huge put the ball down attacks.
Yeah, and the Lions have kind of been blindsided by that because they've left a lot of open waters in the middle of the court. They're really trying to defend the corners right now.
Coelho passes to Manzo, back set for Scaniers, deflects off Cammie Davis's outstretched hands, and not there to cover is Olivia Johnson for Belhaven.
But when you do that, you don't necessarily need to cover the rolls as much as you can, especially with the range of Mullis, who Mullis isn't in the game currently, but when Mullis is in the game, she has tremendous range, and you just got to rely on the range to get there, and the Lions have a lot of that.
Sets out, Coelho steps in to set. Really tight for Hubbard, and elevating up for Belhaven was McKenna Matthews as she shuts down Hubbard's tip. Belhaven continuing to grab the point out of the tiebreak as they lead 19-18 here in the waning moments of set number 4. Lions need to grab this set to push it to set number 5. Otherwise, Belhaven will nab yet another win and jump ahead 8-2 in their overall record. Ateka's serve on its way. Adams Mullis, the one to pass it. Hubbard on a full sprint. Adams Mullis needs to send it, but a little too short the pass goes. And that is one heck of a serve by Miriam Ateka.
Yeah. And it's just the service receptions for the Lions. I'm sure that's something they're going to look at in practice, but it's just been pretty poor today.
Good pass by Adams Mullis. Manzo going to look to Hubbard. Hubbard on the cross, tipped up by Ateka. Sent over by Kaysen. Manzo in a good spot now. Looks to Hubbard. Deep ball. Good touch by LaCour. Gardner needs to elevate, does just that, and the Lions continue to fight back and forth with Belhaven at a crucial point, and Hubbard the one to conclude it on the right side as she gets the tool kill off of the hands of Kaysen.
Yeah, Belhaven, if they do come out of this, they're not coming out of it without going through a fight.
Manzo on its way. Ateka looks to Gardner once again. That roll continuing to be her choice of attack. Hubbard drops the bomb, but well received by LaCour. Lions still in system a little bit more than Belhaven. Now look to Televast. Ateka scrambles to give an attack to Gardner. Coelho's there. Manzo, the dump, goes deep. Diving effort by LaCour as well as Kaysen keeps the point alive for Belhaven. Hubbard on the outside. Good attack there. Diving effort again. Takes out 2 players for Belhaven, but the point continues on. This is what we call a crucial point here in set number 4. Kaysen's attack covered by Coelho. Manzo, Televast tight to the net. Good tip in to keep it alive. Ateka over to Gardner. Dump once again, seen by Manzo. Televast asked turn number once again outside, kept in by Ateka. Kaysen has to go up, and as all the oxygen is depleted from every player's lungs on the court, the Lions grab a crucial point to tie it all. 20-20.
And not only was it a crucial point because you expended so much energy to get that point, but you tied it up. That is probably the most crucial step out of that rally. And now the Lions, you would love to get a 2-point lead here.
Manzo's serve off the net tape, and they will be more than grateful for that as Vanessa Manzo gets the service ace here. 21-20, and a timeout will be called by the Belhaven Blazers as they do not want this run to get out of hand. One quick moment before we step away for the break. Eric, how do you recover from a rally like that and then a service ace? I mean, you have to feel like you're going crazy losing those two.
The service ace really helps because immediately after the rally, you pop into mode, okay, time to go back into it. But you get that point, you get that buffer, you kind of, you get a chance to breathe for a second. Obviously, the foot's still on the pedal, but you don't have to worry as much about immediately hopping back into it. Now you're in the lead, you get the ball back coming out, you get to continue to build.
Keep the ball in play. Lions operative number 1. They're doing a fantastic job of, even when they don't have a purely set-up attack, forcing Belhaven in an uncomfortable spot. Likely they're focusing on Ateka, pulling the setter out of the equation, making some other Blazer pass the ball to try and set up a teammate, or just simply putting Belhaven on a run, making Ateka uncomfortable. Lions looking to continue a bit of an offensive showcase here towards the end stages of set number 4 as Hubbard, Televast, and Perkinson are in for the Lions up front. Ateka looks to Gardner. Little dump ball again, well covered by Hubbard. Hubbard's reward is an attack, and it's blocked off by Kaysen, and Hubbard gets the antenna kill against Kaysen's block.
There's your 2-point lead. Don't let it go.
Katie Hubbard, like you said, a little bit quieter in today's action. A credit to Televast, who's been doing the heavy lifting, but when called upon, Hubbard's done a fantastic job. Emma Gardner for the Blazers has also done very well as she nabs herself another kill, this time cutting the ball down the line. No Lion there to see it. Lions continue to lead 22-21, set number 4. Good eye by Coelho and Televast. A crucial service error by Belhaven puts the Lions just 2 points away from reaching a 5th set. Territory they don't find themselves in often this season, Eric. It's typically a 4 or 3 set contest, but we know the Lions do have the stamina if they reach the 5th set. Hubbard's serve on its way. Robinson makes Ateka have to run for it a little bit as Belhaven are in an uncomfortable spot. LaCour unable to get it over the net, and the Lions reach set point number 1, 24-21. Hubbard back to serve for the Lions. A block up front or any sort of defensive play for Piedmont would close it out here. Robinson to Ateka, looks middle to Cammie Davis, and that is a incredible tip play by Cammie Davis. Up in the air, notices no one's covering short right and just dumps it down to the corner. Very heads up by number 15 of Belhaven. Lions need to recover here though. Still 2 set points to their name. Televast gets blocked up front by LaCour as well as White, and Belhaven with their backs against the wall in set number 4 are building some momentum. Timeout taken by Piedmont as they now have one last set point before we're all tied up at 24 apiece.
And it's like I said when the Lions win in set number 2, is that you can't count Belhaven out. I believe the score was at that point 17-22, something of that nature. You cannot count this team out. These teams are very evenly matched, and Belhaven is in the spot and they are in the standings for a reason. They're very dangerous, and right now they've beaten the Lions, whereas the Lions kind of beat themselves last set. Now Belhaven's starting to come back a little bit and show that offensive prowess that they really have. The Lions still have a very good opportunity to close this one out, but they're going to have to dig deep to find something, maybe pull some trickery.
And one thing we're starting to notice with Belhaven as well is they're not letting them lose because of errors on their own end. They might lose some points due to unforced errors, but when it comes to crunch time, when they need to grab points, they're keeping the ball in play, playing high percentage, just trying to catch Piedmont lacking, and that's how they grabbed 3 quick points here as they now stand 1 point away, from extending set number 4. Lions trying to get a side out here to push it to a 5th set. Televast on the attack, cuts it on the angle, and it sails wide, 24-24. We are all tied up here in set number 4. Lions did have a 3-point lead. It's diminished. So now we're going to go past the 25 mark for set number 4. Hubbard able to get the dive. Good effort by Adams Mullis. Keeps the point alive for the Lions. Ateka over to LaCour. Attack on its way. Manzo, good coverage there. And Adams Mullis looks to Televas. Cut ball, tips the net, tips the block, tips Kaysen, and tips Ateka. None of which could keep the ball alive, and the Lions reclaim yet another set point. Sconiers checks in for the Lions. 3 attackers up front for Piedmont. A setter is active for Belhaven. Perhaps a height disparity there. Good serve. Ateka looks middle to White, and she instantly checks in and makes a contribution. Jessica Sconiers shuts down the middle of White, and the Lions will push this to a 5th set.
Absolutely incredible. We saw Jessica Sconiers end a set with that exact same move, but here, you didn't win the game. We still got to play one more. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Carry this momentum. Let's keep going to a set number 5 and a huge win for the Lions in their first game of the day.
The Lions will stay on their benches as they'll switch sides midway through the 5th set. We're going to take a quick breath alongside both teams as they game plan for set number 5. It's win or go home right now for both teams. Not really, as they both have a matchup here in Cave Arena. It just felt like adding some drama. When we come back, though, set 5 in the conclusion of this matchup and our first match of 3 against Belhaven and Piedmont. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics on YouTube. It's time to conclude match number 1 of our 3-match slate here on this lovely October afternoon. Piedmont and Belhaven, our first matchup of the day, have reached as far as you can go. 5th set about to begin here as the Lions, with their backs against the wall, nabbed a tightly contested set number 4, 26-24. Eric, speaking of statistics and scores, there was one stat you and I both noticed immediately that really stood out and might be the differentiator between winning and losing this matchup for Piedmont.
Lions have one service ace. just one. If you can get a little bit more service aces on your side, that's great. But what's really important, we've said it, I've said it multiple times, I'm beating a dead horse here. You have to control the serves. You cannot let Belhaven jump on you with service aces here. They're going to beat you. Make them beat you on the net. Don't let them beat you behind the line.
And if you're not an avid volleyball watcher, a fifth set is slightly different from all 4 sets that we've seen. Fifth set goes to 15, where both teams will switch after one team reaches 8 points. And a very controversial call initially by the head referee, and still a disagreement between the assistant ref and the line refs, and really every referee, as we saw an out call by the line ref on the right side. Head referee initially granted the point to Piedmont. Down ref called the ball out as well, and the point was awarded to Belhaven. In my eyes, Eric, I don't know if you saw it different. It looked like everyone called the attack out, which would mean it would be Piedmont's point, and it is. So an initial disagreement, or rather miscommunication, between the referees has been absolved, and the Lions grab point number 1 here in set number 5.
You know, we mentioned earlier in an earlier set that Belhaven obviously was getting frustrated with some of the officiating. They can't let that happen right now, because if you get is as frustrating in a short set like this, you're going to go home.
Net ball off the net there, nearly sets off the Blazers, but able to recover as Gardner gets the attack to Coelho. Hubbard's fierce attack kept alive by LaCour as she rolls it over for Belhaven. Manzo, tight ball for Televas. She's able to tip it over and keep the ball in play. Gardner called upon again, this time a push set. Miscommunication, Coelho sprints there, deep spot there. Very smart play by Zoe Coelho. Block up front by Perkinson. No, Blazer back to cover. And Kaya Perkinson grabs the second point for the Lions. And a bit more defensive presence we see from Piedmont.
I mean, you have to. You have to be very defensive right now, and if the points come, let them come. But you can't let, like I said, you can't let Belhaven play into your errors. Make them play into their own.
Ateka back set to no one. Cammie Davis there to cover. Manzo sets to Televast on the right side, straight into the chest of Robinson, and the Lions offense is firing as Mary Televast, Katie Hubbard, and Kaya Perkinson continue to do some damage in set number 5.
We haven't seen the Lions come out to a set to go to a run. We've seen them play behind a lot. Let's see how they play with a lead here.
LaCour finds Gardner. Manzo tips it up. Adams Mullis, tight ball to the net. Cammie Davis just going to dump it down. Hubbard tried to get there, but a little too late. And Belhaven finally get themselves on the board. And that's a good point, Eric. The majority of sets we've seen so far this afternoon, the Lions have trailed. They've done a fantastic job fighting back, but we rarely see them with any form of a lead, barring a couple set points here or there on sets 2 and 4. Dillatore, the one to serve for Belhaven. Manzo back to Hubbard on the right side, gets shut down by Cammie Davis and LaCour, and Belhaven are fired up. And this fifth set is all about quick strikes. Unlikely there's going to be a lot of runs, as when you reach set 5, everyone knows how every other player across the net plays, so it's going to be a lot of back and forth, tightly contested action. Televast cut ball to Robinson, kept up well by Belhaven. Kayson's ball takes Manzo out of the equation. Adams Mullis now forced to set up Katie Hubbard. Ball tight in the net. Hubbard says thank you, but Cammie Davis says not today as she shuts down the Hubbard attack and ties the score up 3 apiece. A 3-point run for both teams to kick off set number 5. Hubbard to Manzo, who goes outside to Televast. Televast shut down initially, but kept up from her own block. Deep set by Manzo makes Belhaven sort of scramble, and LaCour is trying to send the ball tight over the net. A low percentage effort. If it gone in, it would have been a great play, but instead an unforced error against Belhaven lets the Lions reclaim the lead. Hubbard back to serve. Up front is Wingate, Televast, and Perkinson. Dillatore, good pass to Ateka, who finds LaCour on the outside. Initial reaction by Adams Mullis, nearly kept it up, but unable to get to the second ball was Katie Hubbard. That was a feverish attack, though, on the outside.
Yeah. No kidding.
Something we really haven't seen from Belhaven. They don't put the ball down much. It's a lot of location kills rather than just pure power.
And that is a credit to Piedmont's blocking in some sense, is that they forced a lot of floats, they forced a lot of rolls, and a lot of the front line attack, like you said, is based on just trying to roll the ball over, and Belhaven is trying to get Piedmont to commit errors. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get those free points.
Robinson serve, good pass by Adams-Bullis. Set to Televast, but too wide is the attack, and Belhaven now jumps ahead, 6-4.
See, there's 2 free points that were put away by Belhaven. They have them in the bank now. They're both off of balls that were out.
Robinson back to serve. Adams-Mullis, bit of a tough pass there. Televast still able to generate an attack. Ateka in a good spot. Back sets to Kaysen, blocked up front by Perkinson. Adams-Mullis tries to keep Belhaven awake with a quick tip, but it's not going to work. Instead, LaCour ends the point off the tool kill between Manzo and Televast, and the Lions now trail 7-4. Timeout called by Piedmont. They're trying to discuss how to shut down this run. They jumped ahead 3-0, and since then they've won 1 out of 8 points.
Yeah.
So Eric, what do they need to do to try and reclaim the momentum? There's not much time left. I mean, Belhaven's nearly halfway to winning the match. It's a shortened set, so what do the Lions need to do to sort of start to build back towards taking the lead?
Do what you did in the third set, you know? Be aggressive, play a little bit more up, and Belhaven is going to pull back a little bit. We've seen that they're going to try to play a little bit more defensive. They're not going to be as on net as you would usually see. Sure, we've seen a couple of blocks from Belhaven, but it's nothing the Lions shouldn't be able to handle, and that's another thing, too. You got to block that block. You got to be able to react to that block quickly, or else that's just going to fall right down. You mentioned the tool error much a time, and it's happened so many times in this game.
The Lions are 1 point away, or rather, the Blazers are 1 point away from switching sides with the Lions. And we will see a stoppage by the head referee, I believe because they did not wait for the whistle, Robinson on the serve. That, of course, just confirms everyone is ready. So we will just basically replay the non-existent played point. Interesting to see how the Lions come out of this timeout. Manzo's pass to Televast. Good attack out of seemingly nothing, but Belhaven was there to cover, and LaCour has absolutely come alive here in set number 5 as she continues to get kills against the Lions defense. Timeout, not exactly what the Lions hoped for, as the Blazers grab the point to switch sides as they lead by 4, 8-4.
You know, we mentioned how good the Lions have looked through a lot of sets. They've looked like they've been very well conditioned. They've been very high stamina. But right now we're seeing a little bit of sluggishness happening, and this is what happened in kind of set number 2, where they came out very sluggish. But the problem with that is that they won set number 2, but now you don't have the benefit of having as many buffer points.
Lions hoping to capitalize on the service error by Robinson, as Piedmont now trailing by just 3. Look to build some momentum of their own. Adams-Mullis back to serve. Jump float on its way. Dillatore deals with it well. Kaysen leaning back, tried to get the cut across, but too wide was the attack. And the Lions just playing high percentage as Belhaven simply played themselves into an error there. Adams-Mullis continuing to try and be a nuisance on the serve. Ateka to Megan LaCour, and Megan LaCour cannot be stopped here in set number 5 just yet. Lions need to figure out a game plan to shut down Belhaven's outside. Blazers lead 9-6. Back to serve is Tompkins. Hubbard, beautiful pass, gives Manzo a chance to find Sconyers. A little too low in the set though, and Sconyers just has to push the ball over. Sconyers, good touch. Manzo's there, looks out to Wingate, tip play there, touched up by Riley White, but no, Blazer there to cover, and the Lions sneak away with a kill. And one thing I was gonna ask you, Eric, if you were paying attention to who's subbing in and who's subbing out, this is Sconyers' first appearance for the Lions. We will see a stoppage of play as I think there may be blood for Hubbard, potentially. I think that's what the result is, just a little cut, perhaps.
Yeah.
Nothing too concerning as she's all smiles.
And you mentioned Sconyers is her first trip into this fifth set, and Sconyers been such a game breaker today. She's gotten two of the final points, or been the cause of the two of the final points that led the Lions to be at 2-2. So she's been a big contributor here. She's been able to swing very, very well. You mentioned she's the most efficient, I believe, still the most efficient on paper. So it's very important to continue to have her into this game. And right now, the Lions just trailing by 2. You want to have, obviously, a chance to go on a run here. You mentioned since it's such a short set, you're not going to have that run, but you can get something here to at least tie it up. That's kind of been the motto for the Lions all day long. It's just play it close. Doesn't matter if you have the lead or not, but you need to play it close.
Absolutely. Slowly chip away should be the mindset. Hubbard back out there. I'm assuming it was some form of a cut on the finger. Nothing?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
No concerns, but Sconyers, speaking of which, statistically has been phenomenal as well. Tied second for kills with 12 coming into set number 5, and she's also leading the team in blocks with 3. So she's been a presence on both sides of the ball, and especially defensively is what I want to highlight, because Sconyers has had some incredible solo blocks, from which I thought Belhaven was going to put the ball down, end the point, but instead Sconyers meets it at the apex and shuts it down for Piedmont. Sconyers, Wingate, and Manzo, the front 3 for the Lions. Televast back to serve. After the impromptu timeout, let's see how both teams react. Little roll by White and punched up in the air by Manzo. And a call in by the side referee. A called out by the line referee on the right.
That's pretty poor. That's pretty poor.
The Lions are up in arms about this call.
That was very blatant. We have one of the best views in the building when it comes to calling that line, and that ball hit directly on the line. That's not a homer issue. That's not any sort of issue. That is just a blatantly missed call by the officials and a very crucial point in this game right now.
Instead of it being 10-8, it'll now, or 9-8, excuse me, it'll stay at 10-7 as the scoreboard is at a disconnect here inside of Cave Arena. I believe the score is 10-7 favoring Belhaven. This is where we really need to see some mental fortitude for the Lions, as after a call like that, not much time left in set number 5. They're going to have to recover quickly. Televast pass, finds Manzo. Televast back row attack, catches out Shaiko as she now has to be forced to send it back over. Manzo dump ball. Robinson's there on the cover, but Belhaven's going to have to scramble here for something. Rolls it on over. Good chance for the Lions to reclaim some momentum. Sconyers elevates. Tips. Keeps her own block alive. And the Lions once again on the attack. Wingate's attack passed well by Robinson. Belhaven looks to Gardner, who just tips it over. Manzo. Sconyers to the middle again. Block. Diving effort by Sconyers. And the Lions continue to fight here. Belhaven sending this one over. Lions continuing on the front foot of this point. Manzo, Sconyers middle, blocked up front by Bryn White. Excuse me, not Bryn White, Riley Wright. And Belhaven now steals away a point that seemingly could only have gone Piedmont's way. Megan LaCour back for Belhaven. Lions need a side out sooner rather than later, but instead a service ace by Megan LaCour moves Belhaven just 3 points away from winning this in 5. Timeout called by Piedmont. We're going to take a breather alongside the Lions to hopefully motivate them as much as we possibly can from the booth. When you come back, hopefully a lot more fifth set action here inside of Cave Arena. Welcome back inside of Cave Arena. We're just resuming after the timeout called by Piedmont as the Blazers continue to maintain a run here, leading 12-7 here in the winner-take-all set number 5. Making the course serve on its way. Lions trying to recover from some adversity across the net. Gardner's attack kept up well by Adams Mullis. Manzo able to run it down. Wingate on the attack, covered by Gardner. Looks middle to Riley White. Televast is there. Wingate called upon again. Tool touch there, but Tompkins able to keep it up for Belhaven. Good dive by Hubbard. Manzo goes back row to Televast, who rolls it over. Neither team can really get a pure attack going as it's back and forth here in a crucial point. Call not blocked by Belhaven. 4 touches on the Piedmont side, and Belhaven continue to win these extended rallies.
If you're going to go down, if you're Piedmont, you don't want to go down in error. You want to get beat here, but you're giving a lot of points to Belhaven.
Televast pass tight. Gardner's just going to dump it over, but Sconyers is there. Wingate on the outside, shut down. Great reaction by Adams Mullis, but no one's there for the second ball. And just gut-wrenching defensive plays by Piedmont as they are now forced to fend off 6 match points here for the Blazers. Televast passes to Manzo. Sconyers in the middle, dumps down. Tompkins is there. And the back row for Belhaven has just been phenomenal here in crunch time. Attacking error by Shaiko keeps the Lions' hopes alive. As in comes Zoe Coelho to serve. Up front is Manzo, Hubbard, and Sconyers, the trio you want in these sort of moments.
I love Coelho in the back too. Mullis, of course, on the court. It's a great setup for Piedmont.
Lions need to shut down an initial attack by Riley White. They do just that. Belhaven scrambling, keeps it up. Coelho not taking any chances, plays that one. Tight set over to Hubbard, goes middle, covered by LaCour. Gardner's attack, tipped up, pancake by Belhaven, or by Coelho, excuse me. The Lions keep it alive in a defensive play. Tipped up again by Televast. Lions fending off everything. Hubbard, good play, gets the tool. Coelho keeps it alive. Manzo back set to Televast, sends it deep. Belhaven now trying to end this on the attack. Shaiko up front, blocked up front by Sconyers. Robinson to Gardner. Gardner goes line. Televast continues to be there. Hubbard's name is called. Tipped off the line, but LaCour is there. Adams Mullis, beautiful defensive effort. Televast called on, goes line. Hit line, up by Sconyers, up by Hubbard. Ball sent by Manzo, and it goes wide. What a rally to end this match. Just an absolute battle between both sides. Ended exactly how my friend Eric did not want it to go, which is losing to your own accord by an error. But, I mean, Lions put everything into that last point, falling short in a 5th set. 15-8 against a second-ranked team in the conference is an impressive way to build toward the CCS tournament. It's a good result. Of course you want to be coming out on top, especially in a matchup that felt very winnable, but the Lions still can hold their heads high as a result of pushing one of the top teams in the CCS to the maximum amount of sets.
Yeah, in the 5th set, again, that Belhaven had control of that set. They won that battle. Congratulations. The Lions just could not, it seemed like, overcome the mental issue of losing that point, because it should have been a point. It just should have been. But the thing is, the officials call how the officials call. You got to play how it, and I just don't think that the Lions were able to answer the bell after that one. They had multiple chances to win in other sets as well, specifically set number 3, which turned out to be a huge swing set. They really could have come back. I really feel like they had all the momentum in that one. They just could not finish the job. And when you get pushed to a set number 5, anything can happen. And the Lions offense here, just unfortunately, despite performing very well the entire game, they could not overcome a lead that was put up on them by Belhaven, because they have been able to play behind all afternoon long at this point.
Well, the Lions lose a tough one there. They now fall to 3-6 in conference play, 3-14 overall. And for Belhaven, they move to 500 on the year, 10-10, 8-2 in conference play. So Belhaven continuing to make a push towards the top spot in the CCS standings as we near the conference tournament. If you're a Piedmont fan, which you likely are watching this broadcast, you will see the lines after this upcoming matchup, as we have two teams battling it out right now, which is the Maryville Scots as well as the second match for the Belhaven Blazers. Lions are going to take a breather before heading out for our third matchup. There are 45 minutes until we kick off with the Scots and the Blazers, so you have a nice time to grab some lunch in case you haven't, get some water, maybe make some popcorn, who knows, but you will still have a broadcast to listen or watch with myself, joined alongside a new commentator, Graham Prather, as Mr. Edmondson takes a bit of a breather before joining back with us in the third matchup of the day. Lions going to do everything they can to come out at least 500 in the third matchup against the Scots, but for now, they're going to try and digest what just happened. In about 45 minutes, we will start our neutral site match between Belhaven and Maryville, so don't go anywhere. You're watching Piedmont University Athletics on YouTube.